Hey guys, this is some announcements about the internship. I know some people had questions, so I wanted to clear it up. The first thing I want to tell you is be very careful if you're talking to people from other cohorts, okay? Because it's evolving and changing. We had a situation in the past where someone talked to an earlier cohort and we had a change in policy. Without checking with us, they were going with the old policy rather than the new policy. So, with that said, there's a student handbook on the website. Uh, it is loaded with lots and lots of details about internship, but I just want to go over some of the big steps in the process for you. Okay. First of all, so you contact sites. You go talk to them. The requirements, expectations for the internship are that you will do 300 hours at your internship site. It has to be at least 3 months long. It can't be less than 3 months. Now, if your site wants you to be there all semester, or sometimes some sites have a 6 month requirement, you have to agree to it, okay? The site is kind of in charge here, but usually it's for the semester. So you have to do 300 hours on site. If you want to do a warm line, it has to be that you're doing the warm line not remotely, but let's say a NAMI warm line. Some NAMIs do it remotely, some have it on site. You would have to be on site if it's a warm line. The 300 hours, we have a whole list of activities listed on the handbook that can be counted. Three, um, just so you know, like in the past, we thought we could have resident weekend hour counts. They don't count, okay? Your 300 hours is what you will accomplish with your internship site. If you have more than one site, as long as it's okay with your first site to have a second site, 300 hours total. So it's not uncommon to have people do 200 hours at one site and 100 hours at another. Sometimes that happens, as long as it's okay with the first site. All right, so let's talk about the process. You contact a site, you talk to them, they're interested, you're interested in. Remember, one of the most important things is for you is, have they worked with recovery sports specialists before? Do they know the role of the recovery sports specialist? That's critical. Um, so you contact sites. We have next week. I'll send out a list of all the sites. Maybe I can't do it till next week. Next week I'll send out a list, or maybe I'll give it to Nikki to post of all the sites that we've had interns at. Sometimes that's a good place to start. If you have any connections or networking, use those. Those are the best things. We have 42, I think, sites we've had students at. All right. So you go talk to your site. They're interested. They accept you as an intern. This is really critical step, is then you fill out an affiliation agreement. I'm hoping Jennifer will come speak to you on Friday of the resident weekend to talk about that process. This too can be a frustrating process because it's out of your hands and it's out of our hands. So the idea is your site says, yes, we would like to have you as an intern. You say, okay, you tell Jennifer, I would like to do an internship at this site. Here's the contact information. Jennifer then sends an official affiliation agreement to the site. Typically what happens is the site gives that to their lawyers or their HR. They look at it, 95% of the time they say fine, they sign it, send it back. Our lawyers sign it, boom, now you have an official affiliation agreement in place. Here's where this part of this process for 5-10% of the time can get frustrating is you can't do 1 minute of internship until that affiliation agreement is set up. And sometimes those lawyers can take their sweet little time. Sometimes the site's lawyer, if the site lawyer makes changes, then our lawyers have to review it. So this is why it's important to try to start this process as early as possible. That's why I'm talking to you now. So any questions about affiliation agreement, Jennifer can answer. And like I said, this is out of our hands. So Jennifer will tell you when the affiliation agreement's in place, but we can't. It's either in the site's lawyers or our lawyers, but usually I said that's the minority of the time. Usually it's a seamless process, and they're used to it. There's also an advantage if you're working with a site that a student of ours has already been at, because then they're used to it and they obviously had an affiliation agreement. Excuse me. So you have 300 hours. Over the semester that works out about 15 hours a week. You can start a little early, but you have to be in contact with Nikki or I on that because we have to have regular contact. You can't start couldn't start next week, but you could fudge it a little bit, like starting in December sometime if everything the affiliation agreement's set up and everything's okay. That would be okay. You just have to talk to us about it because we have to have some active communication with you for liability purposes. All right, so where you might get a little confused is that, like I said, there's a change of policy. You're going to do your 300 hours with your site. Some site supervisors will say, first of all, usually any training you do with your site counts. Okay, so if you're the site you go to is any workshops, any training, embrace it. Okay. Also, sometimes some site supervisors will approve. Let's say I'm working with people that have been diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, and I don't know anything about DBT, dialectical behavioral therapy. Some sites will say, hey, why don't you go do a workshop on DBT and learn about it? But all of that is approved by your site supervisor, not us. And you have to get their approval because they're going to sign off on a formal form. And if you're doing, sometimes we have students doing stuff on their own thinking anything that they did could count, and that caused a problem. So the whole point is check with your site supervisor. Okay? We have a list of sites. If you start having problems with finding a site, let me know, and I can get a little more active with you. Right now, go out on your own and find the perfect internship site for you. And as we get closer and closer, we start worrying. Okay. All right. So that's about it. The most important things are affiliation agreement has to be in place before you do 1 minute of internship. That's the most important thing. Second, you can start it a little earlier as long as you communicate with me about that. Okay. 3, but throughout the whole, by the end of the semester, you'll need to have done 300 hours on site. When we meet in January, we'll go over the evaluation so you can see what you'll be evaluated on by your site supervisor. Also, remember that you have weekly university-based supervision with Nikki. She's way flexible, too flexible, I think. She's working way too hard for this. She's really flexible with setting up Zoom times to have university-based. So you have university-based supervision and site-based supervision. All right. I guess that's it. If you have any questions, let me know. And by next week, we'll give you this list of sites of students. We have to clean it up a little bit. We have to remove it. Right now, I think the students' names are on it. And we don't want to release the students' names, but we can release the site and the contact. All right. So any questions, let me know. And anything out of the ordinary, let me know. All right. And I wish I could see you at the Resident Weekend Friday, the second Friday of November, but I will be in Brazil at a wedding, in the mountains of Brazil at a wedding. So you're in good hands. I got an expert, one of the experts in the state, one of the people that helped create CRSS training in Illinois is coming to do some training and tell a story. And Nikki and Chris got this covered. I have supreme confidence in them. Okay? All right. So good luck internship hunting. Let me know if you have any questions. Let me know how we can help. All right. Take care.